What Diamond Shu, though, was really studying a lot of, sutras, and especially Diamond Sutra interpretations and stuff like that. Kind of like the old Buddhism. And he heard that up north there was a group of teachers who were teaching realization and enlightenment outside scriptural Buddhism, outside analysis, outside discussion, and real fast. Sudden enlightenment. Not in many lifetimes, as was understood in certain parts of the world. Buddhism, Vedanta. When he heard this, that these people said that they knew what it was all about, and that you didn't have to study the stuff that he was so expert in, it infuriated him. It just made him very angry. And from that, you can see kind of where he was at. He was Mr. Right. In being Mr. Right and being so infuriated that these other people were saying this instead of curious, interested, possibly open, you can see that in his studies he was absolutely nowhere. What had he gained? He had gained the mind of rightness. He knew. He knew what it was about, and so that is sort of Tokusan's first stage as Diamond Shu. A person who has an intellectual understanding of something and emotionally is infantile, basically. And that's where we are, that's where we start, and that's where we often stay, and part of us often always stay that way. But we hope not most of us. Meaning at moments we're going to be that way. But it's very important, I think, to see, especially because we do self-observation and look at ourselves trying to gain perspective, that that is not a developed state. So when you find yourself where Diamond Shu is, think about it, right? And look at what happened to him as he moves along. So, he has to take a very long trip from the south of China to the north of China. Again, I don't know how these things happen, but I guess people didn't have a lot to do. And had a lot of time on their hands. I mean, there was no internet, and I don't know if you've ever watched Chinese TV, but it's not so good. They didn't have it
always
then.
about fighting.
So they didn't even have it then. I actually I was listening, I got from my iPod a program that lets you listen to radio stations all over the world, so I was listening to the Shanghai traffic report in Chinese. It was kind of thrilling to do, but I don't know how people did, but he decided it was important enough to travel to the north of China. I think people liked to go on the road. He probably joined a caravan or something like that because it was dangerous. Even with a caravan, a lot of people didn't have jobs, so their job was robbing caravans, things like that. So he went up to see one of the really noted teachers, trying to remember his name. It's Ryu Tan, Dragon Lake, and to talk to him. But basically, what he wants to do is give him a piece of his mind. How dare you, say you know what you're talking about, when I am an expert in this, and how you couldn't know it without all this study and all these years. Ryutan, Dragon Lake, means the dragon is the symbol of enlightenment, the great being that fills the sky. I gave some of you that name. And lake is like where the dragon lives. When they're not in the sky, on vacation, they go to lakes. It's like, yes, I don't know. So it's Dragon Lake. but an abode of the dragon. So this temple is considered an abode of the truth, an abode of enlightenment. That's what it's named for. And so he finally does get there, and on the way, this is a very nice little thing that happens. On the way, right near the temple, he stops for a light meal, and he goes to a tea house. It's like, would be off the road and sell food, and an older woman is there, as the story is told. I always enjoy that. Older woman, she was 33. But you didn't live very long in those days, so if you wanted to get enlightened, you were in a hurry. Tokusan, by the way, lived to his 80s, which was unusual. But and some people have made a big deal out of the Zen diet and how it makes you live long. Because I'll tell you what the Zen diet was. It was hardly any food. Very good diet. And eat whatever was moving. Or not, whatever. So I don't think they were really practicing the famous macrobiotic Zen diet. Anyway, so this woman who's supposed to be, at least she turns out she's a senior student from Ryutan's monastery who owns a tea house nearby to make a living. And Diamond Shu Tokusan goes in there to eat something. And she asks him what he wants, and this is approximately but close. And he says he'd like a snack. Snack, translated into Chinese, light meal. But light, the same character, I guess, in Chinese, same kanji, for light and enlightenment. So she picks up on that to fool around with him a little. And he says he'd like a light meal, and she says, what is that stuff you're carrying? Because he's carrying all his notes for the Diamond Sutra on his back in a pack, and it's, according to the story, quite a lot of notes. It's, a lot of big pack. She says, what he got there? And he says, oh, these are my, writings on the Diamond Sutra. And, sort of like, I'm famous, they call me Diamond Shu. And she, but she sees what she's got as a very arrogant young man in front of her, and she's already a very advanced practitioner. So she says, I'll tell you what, I will give you a light meal. And she's also saying, I will give you enlightenment. It's a play on words. If you can tell me one thing about what you've got written in that pack on your back. And because she knows the Diamond Sutra. And, but she knows it in a different way. And she says, in the sutra it says, past mind is ungraspable, present mind is ungraspable, and future mind is ungraspable. With which mind will you eat this snack? And Diamond Shu is just stunned. He has no answer, because he's never been asked to really understand the sutra, only to interpret it, only to be knowing about it, only to be right. And he can't answer, and as the story goes, she just says, sorry, Ryotan's temple is 10 miles that way. And he walks out hungrily. But and I guess he figures out that he is one of Ryutan's students, and he's starting to get nervous about this.